Hello, thanks for joining me today. I am looking at the Bellosguardo mansion in Santa Barbara, California. This is an aerial view using Google Earth, and we're going to circle around here, and you can see it's a great mansion. It's slightly elevated off sea level. It's got a great lawn, and behind it is a bird refuge. As we circle around, we're going to see the location right on the Pacific Ocean. It has an amazing view of the Pacific Ocean. Now, the property was bought by W.A. Clark in the 1920s, and you can read about all this stuff in a book called Empty Mansions, written by Bill Dedman and Paul Clark Newell Jr. As we come down, you can see the great view of the ocean. That's the Channel Islands in the background there. And next we're going to take the camera down and look at the property from the ground level. Now I want to get you familiar with the main players here. The first one is W.A. Clark. He was a copper tycoon out of Montana. He had a mansion in New York City. His second wife, was Anna Clark. When they married, they went into France and bought some expensive paintings and had their daughters. Andre Clark was the older one. She died in her early teens. And then there was the second daughter was Huguette. Now Huguette inherited the property in the 1960s, and she was in charge of maintaining the property. She was one of the richest women in America, and there's more information about her life in the book called Empty Mansions. Approach up here on foot where we can see the front door. The design of the house is French, and it looks very formidable, but when you get inside, you realize the walls are very, very thick. So the rooms are kind of small. You know, these were New Yorkers, and you kind of feel like you're in a New York City mansion here on the California West Coast. Here's a view of the ocean. Now, next I took some shots here of the pattern here on the entryway. This is not really even used for cars. It's all been preserved, like the whole house has been excellently preserved, but these rocks have all been hand placed here, and the rocks are said to be from a local beach. But it's really impressive when you get close down and see the detail of all the work that went into creating this beautiful space. Now we go inside, and photography is forbidden inside of the home, so I'm using some photos off their website. And this is the dining room. And one of the things that happened was W.A. Clark owned a mansion on Fifth Avenue in New York City. And this was so expensive to maintain this. After he had died, they demolished it and replaced it. But they preserved some of the rooms in the original mansion, and they recreated them, brought them over and recreated them here in this Santa Barbara Bellosguardo. And this is one of those rooms. So the things to note that from the recreation are that to the left there's a portrait there of W.A. Clark, but the paneling here is just absolutely outstanding. Wood paneling, it's carved. I've never seen anything like this. Here's the paneling close up. The tours of Bellosguardo are small. There's only about 10 or 12 people at a time. You do have to make reservations, and it is pretty expensive. When W.A. Clark and Anna Clark married, they lived in France, and they spent a lot of money, and one of the things they bought was these ceilings that were from French chateaus that were being sold to the public. So there are a few of them in the building here at Bellosguardo, and they're really hand painted, and it's just really amazing. They also bought many amazing French paintings by Renoir, Degas, Cezanne, and many of them are in the Cochrane Gallery in Washington. There are some paintings in the house, and I'm going to show you some of them as we go through the rooms. Now, the tour takes place on the main floor of the home, and you don't see the entire main floor. The upstairs is not ready yet for tours, and so you don't really only see, like, I'm guessing like 30 or 40% of the home. But the rooms that we see are outstanding. Next, we're going to move on to the music room. Now, when this mansion was built, the W.A. Clark had died, and Anna Clark was in charge of the construction and all of the design. This is the music room. Now, Anna Clark was really into music. She played the harp, and the family also owned a couple of Stradivarius violins, and they had music concerts out here on the patio. So the Clarks lived in New York City, and they came out here in the summer. So they didn't spend much time here, and so everything is in just absolutely amazing condition. It feels like a house that's never been lived in. And one of the interesting things is the decorations. The interior design is very reflective of the time of around the early decades of the 1900s. So it really does capture a point in history. Here's some paintings here by Tadej Stajka. He's a Polish painter. Andre on the left and Huguet on the right. When you're in the rooms, there are many paintings of the Clarks, and so their eyes are always on you, and you do feel their presence when you're inside of the home. So Anna Clark died in 1963, and then Huguet became the sole owner of the property, and she really didn't come out here at all. But she was very diligent on keeping the property in pristine condition, and she would speak regularly to the manager of the property to make sure everything was being maintained and in best condition possible. Next, we move on to the library. This is on the right side of the building, and you can see the great books, and the painting there is of Andre Clark. As I said, the bird refuge across the way there is the Andre Clark Bird Refuge. Okay, so now we're going to do a pan of this room. You can see these great collection of books and the globe, and I was so amazed when I was looking through the house and even the curtains that I didn't even really look at the chairs. And when I was reviewing this photograph, I saw these chairs, and they're really amazing. First, we're going to look at this painting here is of Andre Clark. But now we pan down here, and you can see the chairs here, and they're all very, very fascinating. And you could have a book just of the chairs in Bellosguardo. It would be fascinating. Now, the next room is the art studio. Huguet was an artist, and she was taught by Tadej Stajka, so her style is very similar to his. Now, there's only 2 paintings on the walls right now in this photograph, but when I was there were like about 20 paintings on the walls. You had many examples of of Huguette's paintings, some still lifes, and some portraits. And so this is right on the right side of the building, and we're going to go outside in a second. But it is a very beautifully lit room. If you go out the door on the right, then we're going to explore the outside, the lawn, and the gardens. Now we walked outside of the building and we're looking north. We're on the right side of the building looking north. And you can go out to the lawn and see the great expanse toward the home. Those are two great California oak trees, and I'm doing a panorama here, and you can see the ocean. Some of these trees kind of block some of the view, but you know, when you're out here, you get this very great ocean feel. The air has the ocean scent, and it really is a great for anyone's spirit to be out in this area. Now, this is raised off the ground, but below there is a beach house down there that they could use when they wanted to bathe in the ocean. Next, we went over to this part of the property where there's this formal garden. Next, I moved on to this other garden here on the side, and here we have these white arum flowers. And then we're going to move over to this little pond there behind it. As I said, I did feel the presence of the Clark family as I walked around the grounds. There were some koi fish inside of this pond. Now returning, you can see the lawn here. Now they did say that the lawn was available for events. I think the price was like $10,000 or $15,000 for a wedding, but you can only use the lawn. You cannot use the house for any event. Here is the one of the last parts of the building. You can see another little reflecting pool, and these are some orange trees here. And you can still see these kind of French style architecture in the back. And then we had a big surprise here because we saw a fox here. Japanese legend says that foxes are guardians. The fox noticed us and took a good look at us. And then the fox scurried away. Then at the very end of the tour, the fox reappeared and he started to come towards us. And you can see better his rusty red coat and his black paws and his bushy tail, and he was the fox was observing us, and I kind of had a feeling that this could be the spirit of Huguette Clark watching us and still guarding her property.